My name's Thomas Waddle. This is a Whisky Sour Hour, episode 50. Let me just say that again. Episode 50. I can't believe it. I can't believe we're at this point where it's 50 episodes in, and if you'd have told me back when we first started this, back in January of last year, that, you know, you'll reach 50 episodes. Now, obviously, there'll be breaks here and there, Christmas breaks, all that kind of stuff, but, you know, you'll get to 50. I would have said, are you a time traveller? Like, what are you doing here? But then I would have been like, are you sure? Like, I'll be able to do this consistently. And sometimes it is a challenge, sometimes it is, but the majority of the time it is an absolute pleasure, and I can't believe we're at a point, and it wouldn't be possible without, you know, the people week in, week out who listen. I see the numbers, I get the messages, I just really appreciate it. It's a big undertaking getting to this point, but I'm only just starting. That's how it feels. It feels like every week you reset, and then you get ready for the next one. And to be honest, I didn't even realise the numbers were up like in the 40s until, you know, like 40, 46, 47. I was like, oh wow, like that's actually getting really close. And here we are, 50. It feels like no time at all. I believe, you know, like we'll get to 100, no bother. Obviously with a wee man on the way, I need to kind of prioritise times and stuff. But this is a hobby. This is what I enjoy doing, and I'll be continuing to push and do that. Whether we move to you know, bi-weekly sort of thing, who knows? But it's only going to keep going. The content is always going to be there. I say content. I always think content cheapens the product. There'll always be product there, but I just feel like content. It's like, you know, that's like marketing speak that you hear in Netflix, where it's like, new content's dropped. Like, that to me doesn't mean anything. It's fluff. But we'll try to get as many episodes in, as high a quality as we can, and I'm only just going to keep going. So, for the bottom of my heart, I mean this. Thank you for every like, every share, every comment. It means the world, and genuinely, like, makes this an absolute pleasure to come and do and join you wherever you listen. But if it's a Saturday morning, I know there's some people who, no naming any names, Ian, but I know if there's not an episode that's live, you're straight on to me. If I've not maybe updated that, or if there's been like some gremlins, then you're there, and I'm just glad I get to join you Saturday morning, and it's part of your routine. So it's a pleasure. It genuinely is, and I never, as you can tell, I never wrote anything down. I just wanted to kind of try and keep it as natural as possible, but it's been amazing just looking back over the you know, 50 episodes, easily like 50 hours of work, or you know, 50 hours of content, 50 hours of shows, 50 hours plus another 50 hours probably of editing, because the minimum you're doing is an hour, because you're listening to the show back. It goes a lot further than that, and it feels like it's just flew by, but at the same time it feels like, you know, like it's just the beginning. I don't know if it comes across in the audio, but I'm just smiling from ear to ear. It really means a lot, and yeah. So, like I said, thank you so much, and thanks for letting me be part of your routine, or, you know, your driving, your commute. It means the world. Thank you very much. The main topic for this week was going to be one thing, and then I totally, you know, like, I totally lost track of time and where we were. And yesterday, pretty big stuff happened in the world of streaming. HBO launched on the 26th of March. HBO to me is the crown jewel. That is the best quality, the best shows, the best product on television. I think as soon as you hear the HBO startup, and I've done it that many a time that I'm not going to repeat the intro, but the HBO, when it kicks on, you know you're in for a ride. You know you're going to get something of such high quality. I obviously, like I said, I'm expecting a child, and I'm trying to hoard and save as much shows as I can, because you're going to hunker down for those first few weeks and just try and navigate the new parenthood, and you're adding shows to your like list and watch later list and stuff. But HBO coming out here, it's like I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff. I love the art of filmmaking. It's probably something I wish I'd done. I wish maybe I don't even know how do you get into that school? Do you do a bit of photography and then go for there, or do you just apply at college? But you need I don't know, an A in English. Why? So it's one of the ones I probably would have liked to have maybe done some sort of filming, but I love films and television, and it was difficult to kind of get over here, I think, up until maybe when Sky Atlantic came around, which was 2010, so 16 years. Before that, you were lucky, if you found Channel 4 used to show a lot of HBO stuff. I think BBC for the likes of Rome, but it was this kind of holy grail for me. You heard the said I wasn't going to do it, but here we are. You would hear that and you would just know, oh man, that this is going to be good. Like I said, Rome. I'm just going to. I think it'd be cool to kind of go back over and just speak about HBO for a minute. I know this is not sponsored by HBO. As I say, I'm just a big fan of it. But the way it started out, HBO home box office, it started out back in the 70s. It was like premium, subscription based. I don't think there was adverts back in the day either, so that's when you think of America, I don't know about you, if you're watching an American show, if you remember Sky 1, when it was showing shows, it'd be almost 3 advert breaks, I'm sure, or just extra long ones. It was quite off-putting. But yeah, so HBO started, it grew from the 70s. In my opinion, it didn't really take off till you got to the 90s. It was always showing comedy specials. It was always showing sports. HBO boxing was, when I'm not a big boxer, right? I'm not going to be boxing MD, but it's one of the few sports that's got the history and prestige of something like football, that you've got teams that are 150 plus years old. There's no many American kind of sports that have that lineage and legacy. Boxing is one of them. Obviously it's a worldwide thing, but when you look back, even looking at somebody who's not really that old in the kind of grand scheme of things, but Jake LaMotta, but you've got Jack Dempsey, and you go further back into time and you get that there's legendary names. And when you're watching these videos back, you'll see HBO, it's HBO Sports, HBO boxing events. You would see that, and it always used to, as I say, pique my interest. And then as you get a wee bit older, you start seeing Channel 4. It was Sex and the City and stuff like that. Not that I was sitting watching that much, guys. I was not, but I already have got to the point where I've watched all that anyway. But 90s came about. That's when you start seeing things like Sex and the City, and an unsung one that when somebody knows about it, they're like, oh my god, remember that show? But if you've not saw it, Oz was groundbreaking. The prison-based drama. It just, to me, it just set the world on fire. I've went back and watched that twice, and it's it's scary. When you go back and watch it, and you've got these actors who really embody these evil characters. It's one of those ones where you're watching it and you're thinking, I don't know how this could get any worse, and then somehow it gets worse. Just J.K. Simmons absolutely stealing the show. It's one of those ones that it sticks with you. There's things in that show where you're just I can't believe I actually saw that. And that kind of to me is what HBO is. It's quality storytelling, quality characters, quality writing, just quality. And then it'll also be some of the darkest, most grim experiences you'll have. But like I say, the 90s kind of kick it off, Sex and the City, Oz, and let's be honest, the crown jewel that probably, in my opinion, kicked off this whole prestige television landscape we're in now, The Sopranos. I'd missed it completely. It wasn't until last year that I know, shocking, that I went back and watched it from the beginning. Was like blown away. Like, I can't believe I slept on it, I suppose. Tony Soprano, James Gandolfini is incredible. One thing that surprised me, you like these characters, but they are like vicious, cruel characters, and goes back to that like beautifully shot, beautifully written, and absolutely despicable actions of these characters. One thing that struck me about The Sopranos is just how darkly funny it is and how quotable it is. Like, I find myself just going back and thinking about the likes like just some of the quotes, like what happened there, stuff like that. Like you can quote The Sopranos to people, and we're nearly 30 years removed from it, and the quotes just land the way it should be. It's there's no many shows that are like that, and the fact that it done it without like this over the top like action or that, it's very like low key, just so well written, so well acted. There's a realism to it. Like, you believe, like, obviously, like, you've got like it's a Paulie Walnuts, right? Like, he is. You believe he's a bad guy, but he's also this like charismatic guy, and you're like, I want to do you wrong, but then like he's getting Chris hassle for not paying him back in time, and it's like, man, like I want to go back and watch it again. Obviously, having that HBO now here, you'll be able to go and do that. But then obviously you get into the kind of 2000s, and there's a lot of stuff there that I'm hoping, I haven't like looked through the entire library, but when you get to the 2000s, you've got Sopranos running, but you've also got the likes of, and this was one that I think slips by a lot of people, is Carnival. It's kind of Dust Bowl 1930s set drama. It's very much, I think, in the vein of like a Twin Peaks, and I love that. I love a bit of weirdness, a bit of Lynchian. Carnival's like that. Carnival's really good, and I'm hoping it's on there, because I would happily go back and watch that, although it was cancelled. It's one certainly I'm going to go back and watch. During all this time as well, HBO's like doing some of the best documentaries that you're going to get. Obviously, comedies, like comedy specials. It's just constantly laying this groundwork for like the greatness that's coming. Obviously, you get to later on, you get to the early kind of 2010s. What happens? They drop arguably the biggest show in the world for like a decade almost, apart from when they botched the landing, obviously. But that was Game of Thrones. That comes out. You've got Westworld, True Detectives. I'm not skipping over Game of Thrones, but let's be honest, we could probably do a 2-hour chat just about how incredible that is, and the fact that the ending wasn't great. But I could also go on about like how George R.R. Martin just needs to get his finger out and get the books finished, because I need to cleanse myself of what happened there. But if you can't already tell, I'm a huge fan. I think it's the greatest lineup of shows going. I don't know anything that comes close. I mean, like, obviously, like, again, until it finished, loved a wee bit of Stranger Things. Was a huge fan. Set my Christmas was set up around it. My Halloween was set up around it. I was going to say Thanksgiving, but that Thanksgiving weekend, although we don't celebrate it, it was set up around watching Stranger Things, and that, like, Netflix has big shows. I just don't think when HBO, like, lands big time. And the good thing with HBO is it's Warner Brothers, so you do have like the DC stuff, and I think that's something that a lot of people forget, is obviously with The Sopranos you had that kind of air of realism, and then you've got like the likes of Joker and stuff, which I think obviously take a little bit from that. A lot of Martin Scorsese stuff is taken from that, and I'm not going to say copied, but it's kind of copied, alright. But then you've got the likes of the newest Batman, which I loved. It's one of my favourite movies, probably top 3. And then you've got a spin-off of that shouldn't work, which is The Penguin, and it's one of the best shows of the last decade. And again, it feeds off of the Scorsese-ness, it feeds off of The Sopranos, these charismatic let me try that again, guys. Charismatic characters that do heinous things, and it's something as well you're not used to. It's like you're looking at these characters, you're looking at the medium, you're looking at comic books. Very, very rare. I mean, obviously you get the likes of Blade and Invincible and The Walking Dead, right? You know, like, you don't think of them really as comics first. I think a lot of them have kind of moved over to like Wesley Snipes in the movies and Andrew Lincoln in the TV show, that kind of stuff. But the likes of like Batman, and you don't expect getting like a you know, let's be honest, a hard R rating, like an 18, and it came out absolutely swinging. And to this day, I mean, we're a year and a half removed from it premiering. To this day, when you talk about it, people still talk about that ending where you've grew with these characters, and I'm not going to spoil it because the fact is it's came out, and I would say absolutely watch The Batman because there's a new one coming out, and you know, about a year and a half, yeah, absolutely do it. But the Penguin does stuff that I don't say this lightly. I don't think a lot of other places would have the balls to let their characters just be bad. That not everybody has to be redeemable. You've got characters here that are doing graphic things, and you know what? Sometimes you just need to let that happen and go for there. But with the shows coming, I feel it's almost like, you know, it's a this is what we've got now, and this is what's coming. In the time since the recording this, obviously, and planning it out, we've also had the Harry Potter like trailer that came out. That's going to be coming to the service Christmas, I believe it says. People are saying the 25th. I don't know if it's going to be that exact date, but you know, like the festive period it'll be, and that's going to be, you know, like that's going to be viewing. You have to sit down and be ready for that one. But I think there's just so much promise for what's to come. The only kind of things I would say is just to be aware of, right? It's like I feel like while we're on the comic book chat, it's almost like the infinity gauntlet of streaming services. That last infinity stone is getting put into place with the likes of HBO coming here. The only thing I would say is don't be afraid to cancel these. I know, like, if you forget you've got Netflix and you just let it roll. I couldn't tell you the last time I was on it, and I've said this many times before, I get it with my phone, so I'm happy with that. But with the likes of like Paramount and stuff, it's like I totally like tap out of that. I'm like, right, I've seen what I need to see. I'll come back, you know, in a year or something. Because we're at the point now where streaming services were cool. You would pay a $5, but you know, what is it, a $10 or something a month, and you're like, right, you've got access to all this. But there are people out there that complete it and are listening to it in different languages, just to get a different slant on what's going on here. It's crazy. But absolutely, like, if you're finished with it, like, cancel it and put it down. I don't want to. I don't want people, you know, sitting and just paying out for stuff when they're not using it, because then we're just in the same situation when we used to pay for like cable. Back in the day, it was just too much money going out. So, you know, like, definitely hit reset and stuff. But the way it works now, and this is probably the biggest downside, I think, for HBO. The entry fee is quite low. It's $4.99. That's basic with ads. You have $5.99, which is standard with ads. $9.99 standard, no ads, and then premium 4K is £15. Now, if you've got the TV for it, obviously you want to get the best picture, but if you're not too bothered, you know, like $9.99, yeah, isn't too bad. There's no like sign up incentives. I thought, are we going to get like, you know, a month or so for free? Unfortunately, no. But like I says to you, get in, enjoy it, and then you can like tap out. One of the kind of big things that I was like, why is it taking so long? Was just to do with rights. It was to do with Sky owning a lot of the rights. If you remember, like we mentioned earlier, Sky Atlantic. That was like the gateway into a lot of this. It's where Game of Thrones was shown, and you know, like Watchmen and just everything was shown on there. So there'll be things on there that due to rights and ownership, not technology, just rights and ownership. That's the reason why we didn't get this sooner. I mean, because it's been out in America, I believe, for, you know, like, well, HBO Go was the original. That's been around for, you know, like a while, but then Max, and the name changes are crazy. You know, you've got HBO, which is it is like probably the most well-known TV channel outside UK TV Gold, of course. But aye, it's crazy that we're at a point now where we get it. One that I would say that I think you should watch, and there's plenty of episodes which is good. If you like 24 and if you like medical dramas, then by all means, mate, watch The Pit. It's basically a shift in a hospital, and I've watched a little bit, and I'm hooked, and I'm like, I can't wait to watch more. But at the same time, if you are of a nervous disposition, I maybe wouldn't. It's the same way if you watch The Bear and you've worked in a kitchen, you might get a wee bit of anxiety. I think if anybody's worked in care or been in A&E, or just remembers back to COVID, which plays a big part in it, you might have a PTSD, bit of anxiety while watching this. Not everybody wants that uncomfortableness when you're sitting watching a show, but it hooks you. It doesn't stop. Every episode is an hour or thereabouts, covering a day on shift. It's amazing. It's scratching that ER itch that I never knew I needed scratched. I was a big fan of ER back in the day, and then you get Noah Wiley coming into this. I was like, mate, sign me up. And I've been waiting for just over a year for this, because when it came out, I was like, when do we get to see this? And it never came to Sky, and you're waiting, and then it finally got to the idea, like, oh wait a minute, they're holding this till it comes out here. So it's been crazy. I'm looking forward to just getting in about it. I feel like I know I've had a few people saying to me, in the last week or so, when they're like, oh, it's episode 50, we're doing it in big for it. I just wanted to kind of keep it low key. I didn't want to put any pressure on it, because then that's when you start tripping things up, and you start worrying that maybe you're not doing it right, and I don't want to get in my own head. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to talk about something I'm comfortable about. Let's just get it done, get it out there. Enjoy the weekend, and you've got all this premium shows to watch. So I just wanted to keep it nice and light and airy. I just can't believe we're at this point. I'm talking about the 50th again. No that we're talking about HBO. I think I've tried my best to get the HBO advert on there, and if they want to sponsor the show, then by all means. But I just before we kind of sign off again, I just want to reiterate just how grateful I am for just everybody that listens. I know we spent a good bit of time at the beginning here, but it really does mean a lot that people take time out of their day to listen, take time out of their day to message and follow and get involved with the shows. It blows my mind that we're at this point that we can do that. So yeah, man, it's great. If you want to get in touch, please do that through contact@thewhiskeysourhour.com. The emails are always open. If you want to get in contact over socials, by all means, shoot us a like on Instagram or YouTube. Subscribe, please do. Facebook, like, share, subscribe. It costs nothing. It makes a huge difference to how far we can get out there, and just it allows us to just advertise a bit more and get more guests in, which is what it's all about at the end of the day. It's about having really good conversations, and just if one person can benefit for one of the episodes like the Beef Trust last week, then we're doing something right. And that's at the end of the day what it's all about. It's about highlighting people's passions, and it's 50. I can't believe we're here. Wow. I can't wait to crack a Corona and just look over this and be like, nice, here we go. But on that note, and I say it again, thank you so much for listening. And if you're at this point, you're the best. You're taking it right to the end. But the sign off is, as it always is, I've been Thomas Waddle. This has been the Whisky Sour Hour. Cheers.